What's up? It's Monday. Wanted to make a vlog and keep everybody up to date on all the good things happening, and sometimes not so good things happening in my world. But thanks for tuning in if you're watching. Really just kind of wanted to start out by sharing just some personal stuff that really felt like I wanted to, kind of be honest with everyone about. I've had a hard time recently. It just was, super burnt out over the last probably couple months. I don't know if it was the book or just the fact that I was grinding so hard because I was, literally working, like I say, 15 hours a day, probably sleeping 6, sometimes less hours a night for a while, for probably, over 6 months. And it caught up with me. By the time the book was done, I was just completely spent and at a point where, I was, I don't know, just feeling angry and a little resentful, I guess at God, or I don't know, just, and I wanted to talk a little bit about, how to keep yourself motivated when the thing isn't happening as fast as you thought it would, or isn't happening at all. Because, for me, like I feel like I've been working really hard, doing the right thing for a long time. It feels like, like not drinking, not, I don't spend time alone with girls. I don't give myself a lot of the creature comforts that I used to give myself when I was living foul. And it's hard, it's great, but it's hard, it's hard. And sometimes you just want that breakthrough so badly that, and it doesn't come, and at the time, or to me, honestly, sometimes I just can't even believe it's been this long and it hasn't happened yet. Sometimes I'll have those conversations with God, like I just can't even believe that it's been this long and you haven't done it yet, like, so but recently I've gotten my second wind. So I say all that to say, like, I've been feeling better again, and I wanted to talk to people out there that maybe have gone through a similar situation, and to get to the point where you're just bitter, you're mad, you've given everything that you can and the thing hasn't happened yet, and then you start to get angry, and you get to the point where you forget why you started, and then and then the thing even feels different. Like, I know for me, like, City Fam feels a lot different now than it did when I started. How I feel about it even feels different, and you start looking at it differently. And like I said, recently I kind of got a second wind where I've started to kind of come back, and how I did it was I started sleeping more, which I started getting 7 hours of sleep again. And if I don't get 7 hours, I'm not going to boot camp in the morning. So that was really helping. I started reading every morning again, which has been really helpful. Not every morning, but at least a few mornings a week, because I had gotten away from it intentionally when I was writing the book, because I just didn't have time. And that's been kind of filling my tank. I started, I've always visualized, which is important for anyone out there that's not doing it. So, I try to start each day visualizing, and basically it's just closing my eyes and imagining, imagining what I want my day to go like. So I know the things that I have on my schedule that day, so I try to imagine those things as vividly as I can, and go see how I'm entering a room, see how, like, if I'm doing a certain task, how am I doing that task? Am I smiling? Am I, what is my energy like? So I'll picture the day as vividly as I can, and then I'll imagine my life in a few years from then. So I'll picture what it's going to be like when, when home is open, and when people are flying in from all over the world that are starting City Fam chapters, and walking into my office, walking into home to get a call. I'll picture a scenario as vividly as I can. Like, I'll tell you some crazy things. Like, I think Justin Bieber is gonna play Home one night. Like I've seen it in my visions where I'm like, he's upstairs in the living room, and he has a concert, and I don't know, I don't want to get into it all, but I've seen I get into these visions where and it gets me excited. So by the time that I start my day, like I'm ready to hit the ground running, and it fuels my tank. But it also is like the law of attraction, where you start attracting things into your life to make that thing come true. So I've always done that, but I've been doing it more, and how I've been doing it more is a couple things. I'm just going to share these real practical tips. Is number one, I've been driving with the radio off in the car, because that's valuable time to think. You know, so I don't drive a lot. I don't have a long commute, but it's 15 minutes to work each way, and sometimes I'll drive other places. But I leave the radio off and I think. Sometimes I visualize. I think about you know, what's it going to be like when the book sells a bunch of copies, or what's it going to be like when this happens. Or sometimes I'll just need to work something out in my brain. I'll need to think through something to come up with a solution, and that takes time, and I'll do it in the car. So I've been driving with the car off. And then the other thing that I've been doing is intentionally changing the channel of my mind, where sometimes I'll go down a thought process where I'll be like complaining about somebody, I'll be bitching about something in my mind, thinking about something that I don't want is what it really is. And I'll catch myself, and I'll just intentionally change the channel of my mind. I'll just say, okay, sometimes it might be a specific thing that will come back, or a specific person, let's say, where you'll be like, you know, somebody that did you wrong, let's say, and you'll think about that person. So I'll intentionally attach a thing to that person. So it might be home, you know, so automatically when I catch myself thinking about that person, it's my reminder, okay, now I'm going to think about home, and I'm going to imagine what it's going to be like when there's homes opening all over the country, or whatever. So for me, it's intentionally changing the channel of my mind. And those were just two things that I started doing to kind of like get me back to a place where I was in a positive frame of mind, and I was, you know, still excited about everything. Because honestly, I believe like the worst place you can possibly be when you're pursuing a vision or a goal is in that negative headspace, because you get to the point where you just want to say F it, you want to quit. You know, you forget why you started, you forget how good that thing is going to be when you get there. And I think that is just like a tool, a trick that the enemy plays on us. And I honestly believe it probably happens really the hardest. It's the hardest when you're the closest. And I feel like I'm on the verge of a breakthrough. I can't prove it, but I feel like, you know, like maybe the enemy came against me and was trying to get me to quit and give up, because I've been pushing for a long time and throwing a lot of shit at the wall. If you guys don't know me, I mean, I've tried a lot of things to make this impact. I mean, I've always had the vision for home, but like City Fam has been, you know, really difficult. You know, I've been at it for, you know, 3.5 years officially, but a good 1.5 years before that. So 5 years of giving everything to something that you believe in so much, an organization, and not taking anything from it, really. I mean, it does add a lot of value to my life. I'm not saying that. Of course it does. But what I see, the potential, and not being able to get it to where I want it to go, or haven't been able up until now, it's frustrating at times, and you start to question yourself, and you're like, do I have what it takes? Am I doing something wrong? Like, you know, am I imagining the potential in this thing? Is it just me that, you know, that am I crazy? And you start to go through all this. But anyway, so I got my second win back. I feel good. I'm excited. There's a lot, and then we are starting to gain traction, which I'm going to tell you all about now. So, couple good things first to mention. So one, probably the book sales have kind of been trickling in. As I've told you before, the book is on Amazon. It's on barnesandnoble.com too, actually. I'm going to try to get it at Barnes & Noble. I mean, that's maybe a long shot. It's a whole process that you have to go through there, but I'm going to give it a shot. But probably got about 200 books total sold, which is good. You know, I'm excited, and it's definitely provided a little bit of income, and, you know, put food on the table, so I'm super grateful for that. Continuing to just try to figure out how to get the word out about the book. We had a big service project last weekend, not huge, but, you know, we had I think about 10 or 12 people at Movable Feast, and then we had about 30 people at Be More Caring. So we do a service project every month on a Saturday where we go out and volunteer, and we had, like I said, about, you know, 45 people out volunteering on Saturday, and had an after party at place called the Cheshire Crab, where we went swimming and had some food, and it's awesome. And I talked a little bit about the benefits of volunteering that day, and for me, like I organize the volunteer projects really for the people that are volunteering, not so much for the people that we're serving, because for me it's like when I started to volunteer, my life started to change, because it really made me feel good about myself. It made me like myself again, and it really felt good to be part of the solution instead of part of the problem, which I didn't even view myself as part of the problem, I guess, but I guess I kind of knew I was. But when I started volunteering through a church, I really started to like myself again, and it just accelerated all the changes. So when I see people get into volunteering for the first time, I get excited for them. Of course I'm excited that we're making meals for people living with AIDS and all that. That's great, but I'm more excited for the volunteer because I see their life change. So I obviously talk a lot about the volunteering and promote it, but I really do want people to come out because I'd wanted to volunteer for a long time before I started. I didn't know how. Really, I just didn't. I mean, I'd seen people volunteer on TV, and I was like, man, I want to do that. That's what I'm missing. But I guess I never ran into a group of people that were doing it. Therefore, I never started. It took me years to start. So I want anybody that's watching to come out and join us. So next month we're going to be doing something with Baltimore Tree Trust. We're going to be going all over or planting trees in Baltimore City, and we have 100 volunteer spots available. So if that sounds like something that you'd like to do, you'd like to get your hands dirty, we're going to be out in Baltimore City planting trees with Baltimore Tree Trust, and it's going to be on September 15th. It's a Saturday. You can sign up on the CityFam website and come out and join us. It's awesome. We always have an after party where we get together and we just kind of hang out and build relationships. So that's coming up. And then our next month's Renegade is at Sandlot. So we also do a social event every month because, social is a big part of, in my opinion, becoming the best version of yourself, because you need outlets for getting around good people. So we do something called Renegade on the first Friday of every month, and we'll be at Sandlot over in Harbor East, and that's on the website as well. So probably the most exciting thing that I have to tell everyone about is we are, and I mentioned this before, so I'm working on a small group curriculum for the book, right? So we have the book out. I've got a lot of good reviews. Average reviews are 5 stars on Amazon right now. There's like 26 reviews, I think. People are really benefiting from it, and I keep it super practical, and I'm super honest about the things I've done. I make myself look pretty bad, I think, in it, because I'm like, this is how I was, this is how I thought, and I'm kind of like a whistleblower. So but we're developing this small group curriculum for people that have read the book, that want to get together and talk about it. And right now we have groups that are starting in the following places: Baltimore, Boston, New York City, Houston, Texas, Naples, Florida, Dallas, Texas, Jakarta, Indonesia, and Hanover, Germany. So right now we're going to have like 8 groups, Why Waiting Works groups, meeting in all these different places, talking about the book and talking about waiting, and I've invited people that don't necessarily agree, and they're not on that page yet, but I'm like, hey, look, that's okay, just come and disagree. I don't care, we want your perspective too, because I think that when people get into a real community with members of the opposite sex, and they start talking about things of substance, and they start building real healthy platonic friendships, they'll recognize that maybe that is what they were missing, and I believe that this is going to be how we'll start city fams in other parts of the world, because we'll start off in small groups just like Billy Lofton and I did, and we'll do a social event, they'll do a service event, and if they make it through those 8 weeks, then we'll work with them and we'll teach them how to do what we're doing here in Baltimore. So that's probably the most exciting thing that I have to share, is we're working on the small group curriculum. We're going to have a little video that they'll watch. It'll be me talking 5 to 10 minutes about something on the book, and then they'll ask some questions and they'll talk about it. And And then, yeah, so that's probably the big thing. So some other boring stuff maybe that you want to know or you don't. Ravens games, we're volunteering again. City Fam is this season to earn money for the nonprofit, and we're looking for volunteers. So if you're out there, if you're in the Baltimore area and you want to come out and work a beer portable with us, or even a food stand, we may get a food stand, hit me up, send me a message, or yeah, just direct message me and I'll get you more information about how to go about that. You get to keep your tips. If you are working a food stand, you can earn a free ticket to Charm City Countdown, a VIP ticket worth $150. You have to work 3 to 4 games. But yeah, we're looking for volunteers to help us for the 2018 Baltimore Ravens season. We're also looking for an intern. So we're looking for somebody to help us with content creation. So somebody that's got experience with social media, videography, graphic design, content creation and distribution, basically. So they have to be a little technically savvy. But if you know somebody that's, maybe they're fresh out of high school, maybe they're fresh out of college, we're looking not necessarily young, but probably going to be young. We're looking for somebody like that to work in the office here 20 to 25 hours a week. And the good news is we've got, because of our membership money that's been coming in, we have a little bit of money that we can now pay somebody part-time to help us with content creation, which is going to be exciting, because anybody that's found us, all these different places around the world that I just mentioned that have found us because we've created content and we've put it on YouTube. And that's, somebody had to create that content, and you have to pay that person usually to create the content. But now people are seeing City Fam, and they're seeing this culture that we've created, and they're like, hey, that's awesome. We need something like that, and they want to start one. So we want to create more content. And if you guys go back to some old videos, I don't know when I started saying this, but it has to be at least a couple years. When home opens, and I don't know when that will be, I'll talk about that in a moment. When home opens, we're going to create so much content, and we're going to push it out on social media that people all over the world, on YouTube, on Facebook, on Instagram, on SoundCloud, on every other social media platform, they're going to find us and they're going to go, oh my God, I can't believe there's a group like this. I want to learn more. And then they'll come here and they'll go through a process. We'll put them through a process where they'll attend some events. They'll go to home. We'll teach them how to run a City Fam, and then they'll be excited and they'll go home and they're going to start their own. And this is how we're going to bring massive change to the world. So we have a plan. This isn't just pipe dreams. We actually have a plan to do everything that I've talked about. So yeah, so we're looking for an intern. If you know somebody that's skilled in those areas, send them my way. I'd like to talk to them. This Sunday, we're doing something called Path to Purpose. It's Sunday 1 to 4. And basically what Path to Purpose is, people come into the organization and they're excited about, what we're doing, and they feel the love and they feel the positive energy, and they're like, man, I want to learn more. I want to be part of this. So Path to Purpose is really kind of an onboarding ramp for people to become part of all this, to help us change the world. And what we do is we give everybody a personality assessment and a DISC test, which is like also a kind of a personality test. And we figure out what their passions are and what their gifts are, and then we try to plug them into the appropriate spot in the organization where they can, where they can best be used, but also where they can be fulfilled. Because, I've said this before, when you start making a difference in the life of another person, your life takes on new meaning. So a lot of people, Maslow's hierarchy of needs, the pyramid, at the very top of self-actualization is basically you giving yourself away. This is why you see all these millionaires like Bill Gates and Warren Buffett giving all their money away. They've already hit the top of the pyramid. So that's the top, is when you start giving it away. A lot of people don't have the opportunity to, give their talents away and give their time away, and that's when you get real fulfillment. And I know that from personal experience. So Path to Purpose allows people to get involved with City Fam in the way that is gonna meet their gifts and their passions the most. So it's this Sunday, 1 to 4. Super excited about it. We got about 25 people registered. We still got spots available. You can go to the City Fam website if you'd like to attend. We're going to be doing a lot more for our leaders. Yeah, give it away now, Chris. I don't know, City Fam, you could do it through a church, you could do it through any organization. But, we're going to be doing a lot more for our leaders through City Fam. What we want to do is Lori Lockamy's kind of taken over the position of personal development, and starting this fall we're going to be doing a book club where there'll be a book that we'll all be reading, a book of the month to kind of develop your leadership abilities. And then we're going to be doing social outings. We're going to do a bonfire, I know, this fall specifically for leaders. And then at the beginning of the year we're going to be doing something called Your Best Year Ever, where you're going to get really clear about what your goals are for the year, and you're going to map out your entire year. I've done this before with a life coach, and it's very powerful, and it's, you know, how I've been able to do as much as I'm able to do with my time is because I've worked with coaches that have, you know, the high performance coaches that pull the most out of you. So I want to do that for all of our leaders. So we're going to be investing in the people that are investing in us. So it all starts with Path to Purpose this Sunday. If you're interested in coming, it's one full word. Register on the City Fam website. We'd love to get you involved. And I think that's it. So appreciate you guys. Thanks for all the support. Thanks for everyone that's volunteers. Thanks for our members, our contributing members. Oh, update on home. Last thing. No news. Yeah, no news. I haven't moved. I haven't really done anything to try to even move the needle forward. There's not much I can do besides work on the business plan a little bit, which I haven't had time to do. But I'm still kind of waiting to see if, you know, what God does is what it really boils down to. I feel like He's the one that gave me the vision, and I have to wait and see if He opens the door, because I'm not really able to do a lot more than I've already done. So I'm just kind of waiting to see what happens there. But I do, you know, we get messages about it every week. The woman from Germany messaged me about it yesterday, and she's like, we've had a similar idea to open a place like home here in Germany, and she's like, everyone is like really excited that you're doing it in Baltimore. Well, we're in the process of doing it, but we don't know when that's going to happen. But you know, to any contributing members out there that are watching, what we're doing for you guys is we're getting ready to come out with some new shirts that we're going to go ahead and give away to everybody, and they're going to be Ravens purple, and they're going to say, it's going to be the City Fam logo in white and gold on the front, and on the back it's going to say Our Fam Bleeds Purple. So we're going to give those away to all of our contributing members, and then homecoming is going to be in October. We have a venue in mind. We're still trying to lock it in, but that will be our way of at least adding value back to our contributing members while we wait for home, which is a big question mark right now. So yeah, that's it. That's really all we got. Appreciate you guys. Talk to you later. See ya.